Tom Vessel.
Zig Garcia, hello, hello.
Sam Healy, what's up, y'all?
And today we are taking a look at our top 10 lunchtime games. Now, games you can eat.
Delicious.
So what I did for this was I thought of games. I pretended I was like worked at either like some office or some factory somewhere, and you go and have lunch, and you get, I don't know, what's lunch? 45 minutes sometimes to an hour.
Yeah.
Some places have 30 minutes, but those
30
places
or an hour.
Those are mean places.
Yep.
I definitely stuck with 30 minutes. I didn't go higher than 30 minutes. That was the cutoff point.
I think some of these places that I imagine myself working at might go to an hour, but
There's a place in Dublin, Ireland, an accountant's. He did a Canvas segment for me on Throw Punch Lunch. He actually plays TI3 during lunch.
does he finish it?
They leave it set up.
Oh.
One game takes like 2 weeks.
Okay, so
No, here's what I did. Basically, I wrote down caveats for myself. I wanted the game to be short. I wanted it to adapt to different size groups. I wanted it to have a small footprint. I wanted it to not be taxing because you are trying to take a break from work. I wanted it to not be loud in case you are going to distract other people at lunch. And I wanted few bits to lose so stuff doesn't go all over the place.
wow.
Yeah.
Also,
I didn't.
I made.
I was a little bit more lenient on the bits part of it.
Sure.
Just for a couple of them because they're bits that could be held in small containers, like you could fit into a backpack or something like that.
Twilight Imperium 3 is too big. Twilight Imperium 2, though,
It's fine.
that's fair game.
I never said that.
Let's start.
Number 10.
All right, my number 10 is a game that actually has a travel edition, which is one of the reasons why I picked it for this situation or scenario of doing games over lunch, and it is called For Sale. Now, even the larger edition of For Sale, it's not really that big. You could still fit it into, like, say, the cargo pocket of your cargo shorts. Might be a little tight, but you could do it. The travel edition, though, comes in a little card box, and all of the components are just a little bit smaller than the regular version of the game. So you could do that. It's a very light auction bidding game where you're trying to simply make the most money by selling, well, actually buying first and then selling property as much of a profit as you possibly can. So it's a very simple game to understand and to teach. I thought it would do really well in this kind of situation. It also can be a very quiet game as well. It can be as loud as you want it to be as well. Just depends on how everybody is interacting around the table. So my number 10 is For Sale.
I actually considered For Sale on my list. It's a pretty. I don't care how small the box is. I don't think the box size matters that much. I'd bring that to lunch and play it. I don't. The travel size is cool, I guess, but I mean, I would. The ordinary one would make my list. Now, hear me out before you yell.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Now, listen. I don't know that size of box is not as critical. I think. I mean, if I can carry it to work with me, I don't care. And even table space. I mean, I might have this much room for playing a game. So anyway. The new game from Riot Games, Mechs vs. Minions.
Oh my goodness.
What? Okay.
You're joking, right?
You've got to be joking.
Yeah, I'm joking. All right, my number 10 is actually Concept. Concept has a decent sized board, but it's just a board, and you have cubes on the board. And Concept is the kind of game I could see everybody kind of crowding around and watching and jumping in and jumping out.
Okay.
You know, maybe not even playing it as a game, but just kind of as an activity. All right, Jim, it's your turn. And Jim's like, goes, okay, all right, Susan, your turn. And, you know, just back and forth. And it's almost like 20 questions with stuff. So I thought that one would fit this well. I could see pulling it out. Doesn't really matter how long lunch is. You can get it done. Mixed Minions was my number 11, though.
Oh my goodness.
My number 10 is actually very similar to your number 10. It's for a lot of the same reasons. But my 10 is Codenames Pictures. And Codenames Pictures has that same feel where you can set it up in a small
Bizarro
space.
Universe. Didn't he used to criticize me when I put Codenames on a list?
Codenames.
He's no longer a goat. He's a sheep.
Pictures.
You mean the pictures make that big of a difference?
For me, yeah. It's the same vibe. You can set it up. It takes a small footprint, and you can have people watch. then somebody will jump in the next time, or there can be, you can have the fluid groups. You can even technically set it up and leave it, and people walk by the lunchroom and just take a guess, if you really, with very small
What, are you
modifications.
shouting them out from the next room?
No, with small modification, this is the kind of game you can play across the day if you have an office that allows for that. You know what I mean?
So this is not actually a lunchtime.
Oh, it is, absolutely. The game takes 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, okay,
But
hang on. I don't get the modification. Okay, so I say...
Like, you could have a team where you look at the clues at the cards, and then you write and leave the clue written out. Like monkey, 2, and walk away.
So then I come and I go, this card or this card.
Yeah, put a token on them and walk away. And when I come back later, I can check your answers.
If you're going to go to that kind of extremes for that
It might
game, you
be
can do that for any game in the
Sure,
world.
I guess so. But this one, again, for the same things you talked about, concept has that fluidity. That is sort of what I was looking for.
Fluidity.
I like
Yes,
that
that's my
word.
number 10.
That's my word.
It is?
I don't know, it is now.
Proper English, so I doubt it.
Oh.
Bam!
Number 9.
Okay, now I'm not as sold on Z where I think that every game has to be a variable number of players, so I have some 2-player games on my list because a lot of times you'll find one other person at lunch who wants to play games with you. All right, so this is one for me, Cell Swords. Cell Swords is a game many people haven't heard about. It's from level 99, and essentially you have a small number of cards. It's pretty small, and you're placing them on the board and attacking the other cards around you. I like this game.
I do. Don't you think? I guess I forget how big it was. Wasn't it kind of big?
Yeah, but it didn't get that big because, it's basically, it's the same size as a small game board concept, which you just approved before you started mocking my English.
I know the squares were kind of large, right? And I forget how many you had.
That big, but yeah, they're like that. I think it's like a 6x6 grid. It usually comes out to be. It's not that big, but I like it, and it's an intriguing kind of game. It can be played differently, because you have different characters each time when you play it. I think it's intriguing, and it's also a very small footprint. So.
And that'll lead to some exploration from day to day, right? Like tomorrow we're gonna play again, try something new with the same person.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, granted, a whole pile of games could be fit into that category. Any collectible card game could probably work. I could sit there and play Magic at work every day. Sure. So I'm just throwing this one out there, Cell Swords.
Okay. My number 9 pick is something for those that enjoy rummy-style games. Give them if you're playing with someone at work who is familiar with that.
Rummy.
Rummy.
Is Rummy the number 9?
No, it's Call to Glory. Call to Glory.
Oh,
It's a set collection game. And it's very straightforward. Simple. You play with 2, 3, or 4. And again, if you find a single person, the 2-player game is great, but it does scale up a little bit. Good artwork, simple gameplay. You can teach this to most everybody, and they'll get it. They'll probably be engaged by it if they like classic card games. So my number 9 is Call to Glory, also known as Drive. And
I was about to say, but what if I don't like Samurai and I like cars?
sure.
What if I like crazy, insane chickens?
This game has been printed a bunch of times, so the most current one, if I'm not mistaken, is Call to Glory.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it scales that well. I think it's okay with 4. I think it's best with 2 or 3.
My number 9 is a game that has a small board. It has a pop-up board.
Oh yeah.
And it plays. It does not have a very large footprint at all. It's mainly a card game. The board is only there to move your little mice around the board, and it's called Myth. And it's been put out by
Myth.
Yes,
Sorry.
Myth.
I just like
And
that name.
you are basically trying to get your warrior knight mouse to go battle the dragon and bring back the sacred cheese from the dragon to your village so that you can live long and prosper. And I guess.
Is this a Star Trek mouse?
No, it is not.
Not yet.
Not yet. Correct. That's what the sacred cheese does. It upgrades the village. And they become the Federation of Mice.
That's not it.
No, that's not it.
You're really trying to reel that one in there.
You're the one that put me on the rabbit trail. Shut up. So anyway, it has a very small footprint. I can see it fitting on your lunch table fairly easily. And then the cards you're going to be holding in your hand as well. So if you're worried about getting food or something like that on the cards, you sleeve them. And all of the other components are wooden, or if you bought the right version, the golden cheese is actually a piece of metal. So I think this would stand up to the different pitfalls of gaming around a lunch table well, and it's also a fun game. So that is my number 9, Mythe.
Number 8.
My number 8 is similar to my pick for 9, but this is for trick-taking fans. This is Diamond. And again, this one falls somewhere in between feeling like a classic, traditional trick-taking card game and adding something new and modern to the whole endeavor with special abilities triggered by the suits, by playing off-suit, by winning tricks, etc. Obviously, if you are playing with people that are not familiar with trick-taking games, this might not be your first choice, but it's a nice way in, right? If someone is familiar with spades, you can say, okay, I'm going to bring in a game tomorrow. We'll play it at lunch. It's short enough. It's got attractive bits. The cards are very well made. And it'll, it's that first step is taken care of because they're familiar with trick-taking games. So my number 8 is from Stronghold Games, Diamonds.
Why not just bring a deck of cards and you have like 5 trick-taking games?
It's not as engaging, right? I mean, it's about having someone go, ooh, okay, these are cool bits. Let's play it,
Cult of the New.
Sometimes, though, I've seen this, at least with the high schoolers that I spend time with, they can play, they have like 6 or 7 different games that they can play with just a deck of cards. And usually at any given time, at least 2 or 3 in the group will have a deck of cards on them. And this is a new thing, at least that I've noticed, where they're doing that. So
that happened at high school for me too, or some of the kids would have a deck of cards in case they had that off
a
day.
gambling ring in high school. All right, guys, put your money on the table.
Again, I think there's something to be said for a custom-made version of even a classic game sometimes,
No,
This is not a classic game. This is a modern game, but the familiarity goes a long way, I think.
All right, going into the 2-player realm, because quite frankly, you're not always going to be going to lunch with a big group of people. Sometimes it's just you and the guy across the cubicle from you.
Maybe that's all the friends you have.
And that's fine as well. Onitama is a game that packs a wallop of a game into a very small, portable, mobile package. The board that comes is actually one of those new neoprene boards that can stand up. They don't, won't get messed up beyond recognition.
Leave it on your desk for the mouse.
Yeah, you can do that too.
So you can put it at your desk, and when you're done, you just keep going.
Right. The pieces that come into them, there aren't a whole lot of pieces. I think there are only 10 actual plastic pieces, and they're nice and chunky, so it's not like you'll have to exercise your fine motor skills and moving the pieces around the board or everything like that. Only 5 of the cards that come in the game are used at a single time, so you won't have to worry about them getting messed up too much either. Has a small footprint, and it's probably, let me see here. Probably the second probably about the second heaviest game that I have on my list. So it's a little bit of a thinker, but it won't burn your brain at lunchtime. I know, that's what you were saying earlier. It's kind of a time.
This
for
is my
rest
own, my own sort of guidelines.
But
to that,
it's still a light game. It's very fast and it plays very easily.
Today, man.
So that is my number 8, Onitama.
All right, my number 8. This is another 2-player game, and actually it's the last 2-player game on my list. I mean, that's solely 2-player games.
I've got 3 more.
Well, it's fine, and again, I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just trying to think of a good 2-player game that doesn't take up a lot of room and is easy to set up, and that's Thunder and Lightning, which used to be Hera and Zeus.
Right.
Thunder and Lightning there's 2 decks of cards. That's basically it. You might need a wider table because the cards are big now.
Could be.
Right,
yeah.
But for the most part, you're going to have just 3 columns of cards, and then there's several rows that you're attacking each other with, and I find it very interesting and amusing. The artwork is gorgeous. It's a great production. It feels like Stratego. It has a deeper feel, and at the same time, it's not that complex.
Right.
You're like, oh, I'm going to play this card, but you're like, ooh, I'm being strategic, but it's hard to explain. I think it's strategy.
Strategy.
I believe it has more strategy than the rules indicate. And at the same time, it's not as complicated as it might seem. That's a very mixed up.
No, dude, that was deep.
Okay, let's go on. Thunder and lightning.
Number 7.
The Game of 49 is my number 7. Not because the square of 7 is 49, but I did just notice that. The Game of 49 is a bidding game, and so this one is, I think, going to be useful for you if you have the longer lunch. Like you're going to need more than 30 minutes. It might take you like 45. But what I like about it is that there's a decent amount of choices there. It's an interesting bidding game, but the game surface is considerably small. It's pretty tiny, and you just put tokens on them, which you can just have in a pocket. You can have anywhere. And you mark them on the board, and you need a hand for holding money. That's pretty much it.
So Zia's advocating stealing office supplies to use as...
No, they come in the box. I'm saying you don't need the table space. This will play on a very tiny surface, and it'll give you a good amount of choices. You're going to want more than a couple of players for this, but it's very straightforward. It's just bidding. Now, if you hate bidding, this is certainly not the one for you because that's what you're getting. It's just sort of bidding after bidding after bidding, trying to make a line on the table of 4 in a row. That's it. You win the spaces by bidding on them. But it is simple, it's clever, it's interesting, and I think it's going to go over well again with folks that are wanting to do something a little more engaging but still not a brain-burning activity. So, my number 7 is the Game of 49.
My number 7 is another game from Z-Man Games, the Thunder and Lightning was. This one is Archaeology, the card game.
That was close on my list.
Did you think about it? Yeah. Actually, for me, this was an easier list to do because I actually have a lot of games in little cases that I have ready to take 2 things, and I was like, oh, okay, so I went and looked at those. Archaeology, the card game, is a simple game that goes from 2 to 4. Actually, I think it's 5 players with the new version, and you are collecting sets of different artifacts, and has a little bit of not rummy, but close to rummy
it's
feeling.
It's a collection-ish.
You're trying to get different sets of cards. You can trade them in, and some cards are worth more if you have the whole set, but if you have one less than the whole set, they're worth a whole lot less. Others are worth more by themselves. There's a little bit of special cards and take that, but not much. It's very easy to jump into and play. And I don't know, I've played this game now for, it's like 8 years since it originally came out, and it's still going pretty strong.
The new version especially is really nicely done.
Yeah, but I mean, I liked it even before the new version. The new version just was like icing on the cake.
All right, my number 7 was our first crossover, and that is with Mr. Basil.
That's right.
Thunder and Lightning.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I'd be the only person with that one.
Nope. I really enjoy this game, and what you were talking about the footprint needing a little bit of a wider table, you can always kind of tuck the cards underneath.
Well, that's what we did, actually.
And that'll lessen the amount of space that it takes. So that's not really a big deal here. It is a very cool game, a very tight back and forth against your opponent with the strategy where you're placing your cards and where you're hiding that one card that could win. The opponent could win the whole game with, and hiding. Make sure that you're moving it around correctly and using all of the cards to their extent. I really do enjoy the game. There is I wasn't so much of a fan of the Hera and Zeus, but with the new Norse mythology theme that they've wrapped around it, I really do enjoy it. The artwork is great. Really do enjoy the game, Thunder and Lightning.
Number 6.
All right, my number 6 is a game that came out, I'm going to say 5 years ago. Got very little buzz, honestly, considering it's a card game version of a bigger board game that Sam and I is like in our top 10 game or our top 30 games, or whatever. And that,
Monopoly, no deal.
Yeah. All right, we'll turn the video off. You and I are going. Shadows over Camelot, the card game. Shadows over Camelot's a really great game. I wasn't sure how I would feel about Shadows over Camelot, the card game, but I really like it, and it works really well in a group. As there's a trader and you're playing cards, and it's a memory game, and memory usually drops games down a point for me, like 4 points for Sam.
Yeah.
But this one, you're like cooperatively memorizing things, except one person is deliberately trying to mess that up.
Trying to forget.
But it's easy.
I want to be that guy.
But it's easy, though, because there's always one guy like, look, guys, I really forgot. Whatever, and you're like, traitor. But really, they just forgot. So I like that combo. I like that there's points in it where you can't talk, and you're counting the cards out, and you're basically saying, draw another card or let's go on expedition. So it's like a cooperative memory push your luck game, which sounds like it shouldn't work, but I thought it was pretty good. It really isn't that similar to Shadows over Camelot, other than theme and I guess
that's about
that there's a trader in it.
Right.
But it feels like it's its own game, and I think you have a lot of fun at lunch with this one.
Okay.
Very
been a while.
tiny footprint, too. Tiny
Yeah,
footprint.
you played this one, right?
Yeah.
You're not as big a fan of it as I am.
I thought it was okay.
I like it. Did you?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's a good one.
Maybe it's a crossover.
All right, no, it's not. My number 6. My number 6 is the probably yeah, this one probably has the most bits in it out of all the other ones that are on my list. And
Blood Rage, I feel it.
it's called Ink and Gold, or the newer version that has just been the new reprint version is Diamant. Now, Diamant was also the original game.
Well,
so,
Diamant's only available outside the U.S.
correct, through Yellow, right?
Yeah, get
Yes.
that version if you can.
Ink and Gold is decent, but Diamant is a better copy of the game. The footprint of this one is also very small. The only problem is that there are a lot of little gems that could find their way on the floor if you're not careful with them. So it might need some kind of Tupperware or some other type of plastic container that you can keep them on in a specific spot on the board, and so they won't fall over the place. But it's a very quick game of simply choosing: are you going to go further into the cave, or are you going to go back to camp with the things that you have found in the cave? And you're splitting up different gems as you find the different treasure cards going through the cave. There are dangers in the cave that once a second copy of that danger comes up, well, then that collapses the cave and you have to go home and with nothing. So basically start the trip over again. And you basically only have about 4 or 5 rounds of this, and then the game's over. Whoever has the most gems wins. It plays very quickly. It's very light. It's very upbeat as well. You can keep it going very well. That's my number 6, Ink and Gold, or Diamant.
I thought about this one too. It plays well. You could even have like people sitting across the lunchroom.
Especially as the group, right? The size of the group is so variable.
Correct.
You can like say, all right, guys, no one here is doing anything but playing Ink and Gold. And just give everyone at the table their own little tents.
People could be elsewhere, right?
You're
Like in the
standing
room,
up at a
you
table
mean?
and going, all right, who's in still? You joke, but you can actually, Ink and Gold is one of the few games you could run as a larger style
Yep.
event.
Ooh, yeah, you think about that. My number 6 is also a game that's a few years old, like Ink and Gold, like Diamant. This is a card game that I'm a huge fan of. Biblios is my number 6. And it is a very simple sort of drafting / bidding game in which you're going to be drawing from a pile of cards. You are going to be selecting as you are drawing some cards for yourself, some cards for the other players, some cards for a common pool. And then during the second half of the game, you are going to auction off those common cards in the middle. It's a little bit like For Sale also, but with more going on, I would say. The theme is the one thing that's kind of boring. The game has lots of browns, lots of earth tones. It's not particularly engaging of a theme, but the gameplay is very, very solid. And so I would recommend if you're just looking for a general sort of card game filler that plays in about 30 minutes.
Does this have dice in it?
It does, but they're just placeholders for how much
you don't
something's
actually
worth.
roll them.
You don't roll them, right?
Right. Okay.
That's it. So I think it's fantastic. My number 6 is Biblios.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 has an incredibly small footprint. The box is literally like this long and about that thick.
I know what it is.
Very small. You probably do. I've been talking about this game a lot ever since I
Is this
played
not
it this year.
Yes, it
Does
is.
it start with Hana?
No. This starts with
Dink.
Kodenka. He keeps talking about it.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. This is a great little 30-minute
It's like a
game.
revelation for Sam.
It is. This is the way abstract games should be done, in my opinion. Very short, very light, but yet there's a lot of thinking, a lot of strategy that has to go on. It comes with, what is it, a grid of, it's a 4x4 grid. 4x4 grid. You can play up to 4 players. That's kind of chaotic if you do it that way. 2 or 3 would probably be the best way to play it, at least in my opinion. 2 is the best. 3, it's not bad. 4, only if you have to. But basically, you have the ability to either swap 2 tiles or flip a tile. And you're trying to get your color tiles to certain patterns that you have cards for. And once you have 4 of those pattern cards, once you've completed all 4 of those patterns, you win. First person who does that. And it sounds convoluted, but it really isn't. Another thing that you have to remember is that you can't undo the last person's last move. Because then it would just kind of go back and forth. Well, you do that, I'm going to undo it. You can't undo the last person's last move. And as long as you remember that, it's really fun, really fast. All of the components except for the cards, you could dump them in a bowl of water, really. They're Bakelite tiles, and so they're not going to get messed up at all.
Tested.
So, no, it hasn't been tested. Well, maybe
Who makes the game?
Backspindle Games is the one that originally did it, and Ninja Division is distributing it here in America.
Okay, so I have not played this game yet.
Backspindle is an Irish company.
I played it for like 2 rounds.
Yeah, maybe. At
UKGE,
UKGE, probably, yeah. But it's a great game. I really can't stop talking about it because it is that cool of an abstract game for me. So if you like, if you have a lot of the same type of things, games that you like, that I like, then this is an abstract strategy game that you need to try. And it definitely works for lunchtime. So my number 5, Kodinka.
All right, my number 5 is one of the Paco games. We were talking about these actually
I was when he was mentioning size. I was like, I wonder if he's going to mention one of these games because you can sneeze and this game will disappear.
That's true.
Yeah, this is very tight. This is the size of a pack of gum. That's slightly larger than that, really. But
barely.
I wanted to put a game on the list which was a dice game. I wanted a Liar's Dice style. Now, I thought Liar's Dice, but Liar's Dice can be kind of annoying.
Chili.
Loud.
Right, it can be loud, it can be annoying to other people. So I picked the game called Lie, L-I-E, that's in that pack of games.
And
it is, it's a weird name because they all have 3 letters is the thing. Anyway, the way it works is it's very Liar's Dice, but you are dealt a card, or a couple of cards, or a few cards, and you hold them. The way you hold them in your hand determines what dice you rolled, and then you play basically Liar's Dice. The idea sounded okay. I tried it, and it's really fun. It really works well. It's neat. Some of the dice on the cards you get are wild, so you can make your hand have a bunch of wilds in it if you get the right cards and really mess with the group dynamic. It's interesting. Of the Liar's Dice with card games that I've played, there's a bunch of them lately, this is one of my favorites. And part of that is because it fits in any pocket, right? It's that tiny. I
just don't like games that force you to lie.
I guess Liar's Dice, you don't have to. You can follow the trend and see where it takes you.
You're not really lying.
It's not a bluffing game, right? Well, I guess it could be, but it's not one of those games where you look at something and you go, it's a goat. Or is it? Liar's Dice never felt like that to me, anyway.
No. What I'm saying is that if you have to up the ante on Liar's Dice,
or call the next,
and you can't up the ante legitimately with what you have, you must lie.
Or you can call the person before you.
Wait a minute, this really sounds similar to Chili, which we just played.
It's similar, but it's the thing I didn't like about that one is the. This one didn't have like a range of numbers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this game has die faces printed on it.
I see.
So that's it. My number 5, Lie.
I will. My number 5 is why Sam's Ink and Gold didn't make my list, or Diamant, because I would pick this game over Diamant, and that's Port Royale. I'm really loving Port Royale. Still need to play with the expansions, but looking forward to that. But Port Royale, you're basically flipping cards over and deciding when you're going to collect these cards, and you can go too far and then you don't get stuff. You get cards that upgrade you and give you special abilities, and you might find ships that you have to fight. It's like Ink and Gold, but with more meat to it, I guess, is how I feel. Like there's more of a game there, and Ink and Gold is probably better for a larger group, but Port Royale for 4 players is just fantastic. Really love this game. It's unfortunately not really available in America. It's easy to get copies from Pegasus. That's who prints the game. So let's hope it comes over soon, but that's Port Royale.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4 is the trick-taking game placeholder in this list.
It's diamonds.
For me, it is not diamonds. It is the Dwarf King. And really, it kind of has the exact same reasoning that you put it on your list. It's your basic trick-taking mechanism with a few twists thrown into it that people who are familiar with trick-taking games will be able to latch onto it. And then you just have to explain the little nuances that the game has with it. The artwork is really cool and somewhat captivating. The box is very small, and it has one of those little cool magnetic flip style box covers in it. So that's another kind of just cool factor that the game has for it. But it's a very fun game, and one that I think your lunchtime group will certainly appreciate playing every once in a while. So that is my number 4, the Dwarf King.
You know, trick-taking games are kind of that, when I think of people playing games at lunch, I don't know, trick-taking games come to mind where they're like all leaning back and they're throwing cards down and they're talking.
Yeah.
I literally, the reason I was picking some of the ones on my list is I just had this picture of people playing, like, you know, in New York City and like not Times Square, but Central Park, yeah. Of people playing at those stone tables, you know, those types of things. That's the picture that I had in my mind.
I'm thinking more like Roseanne, where they're all sitting at the factory and they're talking and playing a game. I don't know. All right. My number 4 is my trick-taking game.
Really?
It's diamonds.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was just giving you garbage earlier to be deceptive. All right. Diamonds really is a good game. Like Z says, blah, 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 everything he said. And the thing I like about diamonds is, I know.
Blah,
you
blah,
say
blah,
is blah, blah, blah.
Everything I said.
Yada, yada, yada. Anyhow, diamonds feels like it was invented in the early 1900s. It really does. It feels like a classic game to some degree.
I'm gonna tell Mike Fitzgerald who said that.
Well, tell me he looks like. No, that would be mean. But wait! Oh no!
Wow.
No, Mike is one of the nicest guys there is. And this game just has that feel like, wow, this game's been out for decades. It doesn't feel like it just came out a couple of years ago.
Right.
And my only caveat with diamonds is the fact that there is diamonds in the game, and like you said, the same thing with ink and gold. Those
you got to be careful.
Got to be careful. You don't want them accidentally getting in your sandwich. That would be problematic.
That would hurt.
That never entered my mind.
Well, I mean, as they get in there, you're grabbing chips, you know, and eating them while you're playing the game.
You need to pay attention to what you're grabbing.
I have kids. These are the things you think about.
I hope the kids are not at work with you.
It's take your kids to work day.
Anyway. My number 4, I wanted one game to sort of represent the category of roll and write games. That is, you roll something and then you mark something off on your little board. Everybody can do it.
Was that a category I was supposed to do?
No.
Oh, okay.
And I find those games engaging. I find them fun. And I find that they are, it's easy to play around on a regular surface, right? You can have somebody over there just leaning back, doing their own thing, while you're over here on top of the dice, whatever. The one I picked was La Granja No Siesta because it's newer, and it's pretty engaging. There's quite a bit going on in the game. It's not a game you're going to be sick of after 2 lunches, right? This one you can keep coming back to.
During a nap?
During a siesta, yes. These jokes today are just...
2 on the nose there, apparently.
Led Zeppelins. Anyway, La Granja No Siesta, I think you would agree with me that this is the kind of game that, except for maybe having a few bits on the table, the footprint's tiny and you get to just sort of do your own thing, roll dice. I don't know if you played with us, but you played, and it's got that feeling.
What kind of dice are in it?
6-sided. I mean, they're unique to that game, but
plasticky or wood?
I want to say they're wooden.
I forget. Yeah.
If they're plastic, they break your noisy rule that you set out for yourself.
No, they're not plastic. They're not plastic. They're wooden. They're wooden with the printed things on it. Stronghold. They're not that.
And they're also that's another reason actually, Sam.
And the hits just keep on coming.
And that's another reason why I picked this one, actually, because you don't roll that much.
Okay.
Because you roll one time and then draft from that.
I completely avoided dice games.
That's a good idea.
Just for the whole idea of the noise that they make and how annoying it might be to people who are around you.
I agree with you 100%. This is one that doesn't have that much rolling. So anyway, my number 4, La Granja No Siesta. You
It's
want
a
one of
lunchroom,
those?
not a library. Come on.
No, but that can be annoying. Or like party games. I avoided party games. That's
These guys
annoying.
are shooting
Can
my
you
whole
imagine
list up.
somebody playing Pit in the middle of
No,
the
that's
lunchroom?
super
Okay,
annoying.
well, that's to the other extreme. Number 1, Pit. Number 2, Happy Salmon. You know, it's like, you're out.
Oh, that'd be the worst. Anyway, that's my 4.
Number 3.
Well, number 3 has been on a lot of my lists lately, I think, or at least I talk about it a lot lately. From Yellow, they just came out with a sequel to it, which was Welcome Back to the Dungeon or Welcome to the Dungeon, either one of those. Sure. Really love this game. It works well with 2, 3, and 4. I don't think you can play with more than 4. But essentially, in this game, you have one hero who's going through a dungeon. You're all betting on how bad the dungeon can be and how little equipment that person goes through to the dungeon. And the hero changes each time. Really enjoyed it. Every time I play it, it's a blast because you're like, I think this time the ninja will make it through, or this, whatever.
Can you fold one game into the other? Can they be combined?
Yeah, they have different monster decks. There's rules about that. I don't remember what they exactly are, but yeah. So really enjoy it. Small, really small game, honestly.
Yeah.
With great artwork and everything, and it's just a fun experience. Welcome to the dungeon. I feel like I was supposed to say something else there, but
you were like, welcome back, but then you just said welcome to the dungeon. Okay. My number 3 is from Stronghold Games again, and this is actually a bigger game. This is a bigger game, but the way in which things are distributed doesn't take up a lot of room. This is Animals on Board.
Oh,
Animals on Board. Everybody has a rack of tiles, which is portable, right? You could literally pick up the rack if you needed to, and then you just flip over some tiles into a central area, which again is pretty small, but there's the gameplay there to back that up. It's really interesting to split one of those like I split, you choose kind of games, sort of, with set collection. You know, what you grab, you have to be very careful with what you end up to get a good score. And it's clever, it's quick, 25, 30 minutes it feels like. Just about everybody can get into this game too. It's got a cute look to it. Simple rules, really interesting and engaging. I think someone could walk by also and see you playing and could get you could hook someone new into trying it, say, the next day at lunch. So it's got that going on. That's my number 3, Animals on Board.
My number 3 is I'm going to say it's probably the biggest game on my list. No, it's not TI3. It's the biggest game on my list. It also has probably the most difficulty in components, but it's still not that bad. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it at number 3. That is Raptor. This is a game where it's only 2 players. That you are manipulating pieces on a board. One side is taking a group of scientists. The other side is taking a group of baby dinosaurs with the mother raptor. And you're trying to, the mother raptor is trying to get her babies off the board. The scientists are trying to capture the baby dinosaurs to experiment on them and take them back to the thingamadoogie hopper. And what are you doing?
Nothing.
Jeez, you weirdo.
No, you shut up.
But the only problem I see with this game at lunchtime is that it does have a little bit of a big footprint on the table. So you might have to make sure that your lunches are smaller or that you have just a bigger table to work with. But it's not huge. It's just a little bit bigger than the other games that are on my list. So, but I still enjoy it. It plays very quickly, about 30, maybe 45 minutes, depending on how clever you guys get with playing the cards against each other. But Raptor, my number 3.
Cool.
Number 2.
My number 2 is a game which you can play if you're having a bunch of drinks, especially because it comes with its own coasters. Though I really don't recommend you actually use these things as coasters. They are the game. I'm talking about Skull, or Skull and Roses, which is the original.
You really like these liar's dice type of games.
I do, because they make for what I want during a lunch break. Complete disengagement from staring at something and social interaction, right?
Okay, right.
That's what I want. I want a group of people.
Go eat lunch by yourself then.
No, I want the
You want him to
opposite.
stare at
of
himself?
No
In the
social
mirror?
interaction. and you don't have to stare at anything.
No, wait, he just said
No,
he
I just said I want the
social.
opposite of that.
Oh, okay, my bad.
It's a lie,
If
but
you're
he said
listening,
it.
that would help. No, I'm saying like at work,
my drink.
if you're at work at your cubicle, like you said earlier, right? You're staring at the computer all day. When I'm breaking from that, I don't want to think about numbers or crunching or whatever, and I want to like look people in the face, right? That's kind of my ideal lunch game, lunchtime game. Skull is pretty close to perfect for that. It's got that play a tile out, and they're shaped like big coasters. Do that until someone says, I think there's not enough roses out there, or actually they say, I think I can reveal enough roses without getting a skull. They go, fine, go for it. You flip in front of people. If you got a skull, you lose twice, you're out. You win twice, you win the whole thing. I mean, it's dead simple, but it's social. And that's what I like about it. There's a lot of interactions, a lot of looking at each other and going, go ahead, flip it, go ahead. Oh, you're fine. Go for it. That's what I want, right? Just messing with each other. I want the game that after lunch, I walk by someone's desk and I go, I gotcha, and keep going. You know what I mean?
He's mean. Walks up. By the way, I beat you at lunch. See you later.
Pretty sure you can do that with all the games that I've played.
I mean, you can do it with any game.
With all y'all.
Flip your stuff. Anyway, my number 2 is Skull, or Skull and Roses, the original.
All right, my number 2, that's what we're on, right?
Yep.
All right, my number 2 is kind of I'm going to give you 2 games, and you can pick which one you want to choose.
Ooh.
Because, quite frankly, they're the same game with 2 different themes wrapped around it. One of them is a sci-fi theme, and the other one is a fantasy theme.
Ooh, sci-fi.
Now, they are basically 2-player games, but you can also expand them to 4 players, possibly even 6 players if you have that. Star Realms or Hero Realms. Those are the 2 that I'm offering up to you. You could pick either one. They basically play the absolute same. However, my choice, because I have the character packs, is going to be Hero Realms. The character packs for Hero Realms really adds the extra layer of just goodness to Star Realms needed, because you start with your own starting deck. You have your own health. You don't have vanilla health between the 2 people. You have special powers that only you can do on your turn. And talk about having a lot of game in a very small box. Hero Realms does just that with the character packs. Without the character packs, take it or leave it, Star Realms or Hero Realms. They're pretty much the same, just different themes. But with the character packs, Hero Realms is your Huckleberry, my number 2.
Your Huckleberry. All right, well, Sam just ruined my intro, but I'm going to do it anyway as if he said nothing.
Oh.
Oh, I was going to say, hey, one of the things I like to do is play a more complex game, like a deck building game. But how many deck building games are in a small space? Obviously, Star Realms is one. Did not think of that. But hey.
Did you think of Vanilla Health? I'm still thinking about it. It's delicious.
Vanilla what?
Vanilla Health. Sounds good to me. Go ahead.
Now they both messed me up. All right, anyway. So deck building games are fun, I think, and you can play them usually pretty quickly. Dominion kind of works for this list, except for
How large
set up
it
and
is.
sit down
Sure,
and all
sure,
that.
right,
But otherwise,
right.
you could play it pretty quickly.
Takes a
Right.
half hour
So I was
set
trying to
it
think
up.
of a game that was a small footprint, and I thought there's only one. Okay, there's 2 with Hero Realms and Star Realms. But the one I thought of was Valley of the Kings. Valley of the Kings works really well. It only has like a few cards that you're taking from, and you're getting rid of those cards, and you just have your own draw pile and discard pile and your burial pile. So you have 3 piles in front of you, and then like 6 cards in the middle. That's it.
Right.
I really like it. I mean, it's pretty easy to set up and play. It can take different numbers of players, although it works really well with 2 or 3. So,
I actually thought you were going to say Dale of Merchants.
yeah, Dale Merchants. Here's the deal. I like Dale Merchants, but I think I think Valley of the Kings is a better game.
Really?
I
Okay.
really do.
Okay.
You
Okay.
like Valley of the Kings too, right?
I do, but I think I might like Dale of Merchants better.
Wow. I am surprised.
I like Hero Realms better, so
You haven't played Dale Merchants.
All right.
I'll probably like it.
Anyhow, so small deck building games, we just gave you 3.
And finally, number 1.
It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be good. Woohoo!
Oh my God.
Niner.
Go ahead,
49er.
Sam.
20.
That's right, baby!
10. Also not loud.
Yeah.
There's now a dent in your piece of wood, and that's why you covered it up.
I think Derek's
Did not.
eardrums just got blown out.
There's probably people there who are like, no, it's my table.
Anyway, my number 1.
Oh,
All right.
We feel like we know you're number 1.
Well, you probably did, since you're chuckling and writing things down.
It's grade school all over again. Well, anyway, what's the order here?
We'll go straight down.
All right. My number 1, I'm about to blow this whole list wide open with my number 1 pick. My number 1 pick is Pyramid Arcade, which is a box with at least 22 games in it.
Interesting.
I know this might seem like a cheat, especially to Sam, because that's just how Sam operates.
Interesting.
But I think if you take this into work, you are going to have an amazing kit of games that will adapt from lunch to lunch, from game to game. One day you can sit down with a single person and play Martian chess. One day you can sit down with a group of people and play a stacking game if you're feeling particularly silly that day, and everything in between those two. And there's only 1 or 2 games in the box that really are too long for lunch, right? Like Homeworld's too much game. Most of the games in that box, you'll be able to play quickly with varying groups of people.
Or even by yourself.
Even by yourself,
Which
yeah.
they'll probably have to after they've caught wind of a couple of those games.
Oh, no. Anyway, that's my number 1 pick. Again, largely for variability, for adaptability. Pyramid Arcade is pretty close to perfect for something you should take into work, maybe even leave there, and play whichever one of the games during lunch.
Here's the thing. I actually agree with you. I think this is a great thing. I love this. I have it on my shelf. It's great. But if this is your criteria, then why did you not put a deck of cards?
Because it's not a game.
Well, neither technically is
Neither
Pyramid
is that.
Arcade.
It's a box
of
it's a
plastic
box of
pyramids.
pieces.
It's a
With
box
a
of
manual
games.
that has the games
So
in
a
it.
deck of cards is a deck of games.
Yes.
It doesn't have the rules in there for one thing. I know that's
The
a
rules are
technicality,
here.
but
No, that's fine.
That's
I'll
a
accept that.
technicality, but
I'll accept that.
I mean, a deck of cards is so obvious that I shouldn't mention it. You know, like I shouldn't have to mention it.
Okay, that's true. I'll give you that. All right. Well, my number 2 is a game in which you technically don't even need any table space.
Oh no, I'm giving you garbage for this. Hold up.
No, it's the
Go,
only
go.
thing that you might have on the
I
table
don't care what it is. Go ahead.
Just say it.
is the rule book
Oh no, rules? Ugh.
as the reference sheet, so you know which locations you're playing with that day.
Role playing is.
Spyfall.
Oh,
Spyfall's a great game to play around lunch
it's too
table.
loud for
How
me.
many
But
people are you going out to lunch with?
You know, with me, everyone. No, listen, I always like to eat lunch with a lot of people if I can. And besides, you can play Spyfall, but I don't know. I think it works really well in this
I
situation.
thought about it, but I
You can
thought
sit around a table and be like, "Where are you?" That's actually a bad question.
Yeah, it is actually.
that's a pretty. That's pretty on the nose. Are you the spy?
I'm gonna try that question next time and say, "Are you the
That's
spy?"
a waste. They'll be like, no.
Where are you?
The same place you are.
Yeah, we're the.
No, I don't know. I thought about it too. I didn't think it'd be that good of a choice again for a couple of reasons. I like the being able to just sort of sit around an informal group. I do like that.
Yes.
But it might be too chatty. It might be too loud, and it
You just
might.
said you wanted social interaction.
Yeah, I just don't want
Boom.
loudness.
How loud? I mean, really, how loud is the game? You are actually asking each
Depends
other
who you
questions.
play with, I guess. But
Because I could be loud in like for example, you mentioned Skull. How can you not be loud in that game? If you're gonna be loud in Spyfall, I'm gonna be loud in Skull, and be like, no, there's no way. How's that any different than Spyfall?
okay.
Oh, snap.
What an argument! Oh
No, I'm
Mark,
just.
this moment.
This is just gonna go on and on. I just don't think
retreat.
it's.
Oh no, that's
A tactical retreat. That was what
What's that?
was.
What's that called when you like act like the other person's beneath you to argue with? That's a logical fallacy somewhere.
Condescension?
Oh yeah, Zing.
Dang, it's my thing now.
Man. All right, so
go.
what's my number 1, guys?
I don't know.
Does it start with a B?
No.
Really?
Really?
Oh, then we don't know.
What
I
did
don't
you
know.
think it was?
I don't know.
What did you think it was? Come on, you wrote it down. You were giggling about it.
No, I just wrote down Tom is stupid, but I misspelled stupid. And then he laughed at me.
Yeah, okay.
But that was Bang the Dice Game.
Nope. I told you I was staying away from dice games because they can be loud and annoying to people that are around
So
you.
Bang.
No.
I really think you guys must eat lunch in different groups than me. I really think a lunchtime is a place where people are talking, having a great time, and we can make a little bit of noise there.
Yeah, you can, but then
If you're having lunch at the library.
that's where it's at.
I don't know. What is your number one?
My number one is another two-player game. It's one of the four strictly
Horsemen of
two-player
Apocalypse.
games that are on the list, and it is a card game. Very few pieces, components, so you don't have to worry about losing anything really. It's called Hanami Koji, the one that you were.
Oh, I thought you put that. Yeah, well, you are like in love with Hanami.
He latches on to a few games and then they like.
That's
He will
true.
ride those horses in all the way till they're dead.
This one's not dying anytime
That's how you
soon.
do it, though. That's his thing. It's like
this
that's
one's
the
not-
one now to watch out for.
This
Hanami
is one
Koji.
that's not dying
Next six
soon.
top tens.
Because
Right.
it is. I think it's very hot. Every single person. I've not played this with somebody yet who has disliked it.
I just liked it.
Challenge accepted. I have not played it yet.
Yeah. Well. Anyway.
No,
you will definitely
he'll
be in
hate
the
it on
minority.
principle now,
He
right?
will. He will.
Be like, this isn't that good.
game. I don't know what everybody likes. about
Based
it.
our judgment, Sam overrated.
But Hanami Koji is where each player is taking on the role of a theater master, and he's trying to get different geishas to come and play in their theater houses. And you're trying to do that by offering them gifts and trying to win their favor that way. It's a really cool thing. You have 4 actions that you have to do on your turn. You can do them in any order that you want, but you have to do all 4 of them. And they can be stuff like choosing 4 cards out of your hand. Your opponent gets first choice of the 2 that he wants, and then you take the remaining 2. Or choosing 3 cards out of your hand. Your opponent gets to take 1 of those, and you get the other 2. So there are really excruciating, at times, decisions that have to be made, and that's what really makes the game fun, in my opinion. Now, it sounds heavy, but it really isn't. It's very light and it's deceptively deep. I really enjoy the game. I cannot say enough about it. Quick, Simple Fun Games is distributing it now here in America, and they should have copies into distributors pretty soon, probably within a week. So look that up. Hanami Koji.
Cool. Oh, that's it. That's the end of the list. Hey, folks, tell us what your favorite lunchtime games are. Tell us where we went wrong, where we went
Food.
right.
Sandwich.
What's your favorite lunchtime food?
No, game.
Burritos.
Yeah.
How about an edible game?
Chicken
Do they
chop
have
chop.
those?
That's a great lunch, huh?
Do they have any edible games?
You could play Settlers of Catan and cupcakes. I've seen that
New
before.
legacy style variant.
I know where you eat the game.
Once you play
Oh,
it,
when you open a box and there's candy inside?
Yeah, and it has a shelf life. Ugh. Never mind. It's a bad idea.
Anyway, folks, we're getting way off topic. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
See ya. Thank you.
Sam Healy. See you guys on the flip side.